What's up, guys? James Carter TV. Here I am continuing my 2016 NFL Draft recaps, and today we are talking about the San Francisco 49ers. The Chip Kelly era is here, and boy, we're 49er fans waiting and looking forward to free agency, and the 49ers sat around and didn't do anything. So then now here comes the draft, and we're wondering, oh man, what is going to happen here, because the 49ers are shaping up to, quite honestly, let's be honest, 49er fans, they're setting up to be a horrible team in 2016 heading into this draft. But I think this draft may end up saving this football team when it's all said and done. We look at 2016 now. I don't think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. I don't think there's anyone with a sane mind in the world that does. But I do believe this is the type of draft that will save them from being in the conversation of being one of the worst teams in the league by year's end, I think. But let's get into this draft, and let's start with their first pick, the 7th pick overall in the 2016 NFL Draft. 3-4 defensive end DeForest Buckner out of Oregon. And this is an A pick to me. It was the pick to make. The only other pick you can make an argument for at this juncture may be Laremy Tunsil, who was sitting there, but he was falling and falling and falling. And honestly, I don't think the 49ers could afford to take a risk on Laremy Tunsil, considering the fact that he is a risk now. When someone puts up a bong video, gas mask bong video minutes before the draft, you can't draft this guy. When you have a clean prospect, though, like DeForest Buckner, who's sitting there and can be a force for your defensive line in your own division, you have said and you've watched Calais Campbell be a huge force for the Arizona Cardinals. And you have Calais Campbell 2.0 in the making of DeForest Buckner, a guy that's setting at 6'7", 290 pounds, fits the prototypical build of a 5-technique defensive end, had 10.5 sacks at that weight, which is really impressive in the Pac-12, which is no easy feat. A guy that makes his presence known on the defensive line, and to me was a top 8 prospect in this NFL draft. You got out number 7. I say good to that, and I give you an A for that. But here comes the hit and miss aspect, because this was a hit. Yeah, I think they got an absolute hit here with DeForest Buckner. There was not another pick I would have made. But then we move on. The 49ers trade back up into round 1, and I wasn't sure what they were doing. And I was thinking that maybe they're going to take Miles Jack, pair him with Navarro Bowman, and have, yet again, a great inside linebacker duo. But no, they take Joshua Garnett, the guard out of Stanford. And I already see 49er fans trying to, rationalize this and try to argue that, well, it makes sense because of this and that and this and that. But no, make no doubt about it. The reaction that you had when this trade happened is the right and correct action, a reaction. What were they doing here? This was not the good move to make here for the 49ers team, trading up for a guy that honestly was not worth a first-round pick. To me, wasn't worth a second-round pick. He was an early third-round guy to me. That's where you should have taken him. You could have probably, I don't know if you would have gotten him there, because possibly NFL teams were higher on him than I was, than CBS was, than anybody was, NFL.com, Mike Mayock, whatever. But still, this is a reach. And I don't care what anyone says, Cody Whitehair out of Kansas State is a better prospect to me. If you're looking for a guard or an interior lineman, he presents that for you. Other guards, there weren't many. So I understand the fact. Some question why Vadal Alexander fell as far as he did. I'm not really sure. But I think in terms of on tape, he's better. But he fell all the way down to the 7th round. I'm sure there were character concerns and whatnot. And his Pro Bowl, his combine really wasn't good. So I guess that scared teams away as well. There weren't many guards, so I understand the 49ers had a need at guard. They see a guard here, they think they're going to go high, but to give up a 4th-round pick to go back to round 1 to take Joshua Garnett, I don't understand. And I understand the need at guard, and that's what saves this pick to me. And I think Joshua Garnett may be a fine player, but he has issues in pass protection. He's not a great pass protecting guard. He's a guy that's primarily going to be a run blocker for you. And if eventually you're going to have to pass. I know you're going to try to run with Blaine Gabbert and Jeff Driskel if he gets on the field, and Carlos Hyde and Kelvin Taylor just going to run. But eventually you're going to have to throw the football. And when you do, Joshua Garnett is going to be a liability for you rookie season, second season, third season, maybe forever. He'll never figure out the technique necessary to be a pass protecting guard the next next level. So because he's limited in that aspect, I have to give this grade a C, considering the fact that you gave up a 4th round pick to trade for a guy, and this is a whole round reach for me. I have to give it a C, but at least I guess you filled the guard need on your football team. So let me move all the way down to the 3rd round, 68th pick overall. 49ers take Will Redmond, and this is another hit. I think they hit on Will Redmond, a guy that has some injury issues at Mississippi State and was not able to start as many games throughout his career as you would have wanted because of some injuries here, just being behind a couple players during his freshman season. Didn't play as much, but when you saw him play, once you saw him on the field, he was a guy that really saw some nice things out of him, some nice athleticism to his game, some nice pop, some nice big-time plays I even saw from Will Redmond out of Mississippi State. A nice athlete is Will Redmond out of Mississippi State. So you're talking about a guy that can ball, a guy that also has some nice athletic ability. Just hope he can stay on the field and stay healthy, and if he does, they're going to have a really good player here. I give him an A-. Next, we move on to another cornerback. They took him in the 4th round. He goes by the name of Rashard Robinson out of LSU. Similar to Will Redmond, he's a guy that didn't start a lot of games and was in the SEC. But unlike Will Redmond, I don't like this pick. Because you think Will Redmond had it hard starting 19 games, either 19 or 24, one of those, 19 career games. Rashard Robinson only started 8. At LSU, only 8 games started. He missed pretty much the entire 2015 collegiate season, mainly because of a whole bunch of issues. He couldn't keep his grades up at LSU. He was involved in a theft scandal. Possibly the cops couldn't pin him down to anything, but his own teammate, Anthony Jennings, was suspicious of this guy. He said, this guy was in my apartment room, and I think he stole some of my stuff. They weren't able to pin him, but the fact that he was even involved in this issue was worrisome for me. He couldn't keep his grades up, couldn't study his calculus books or whatever. How is he going to study the playbook? How is he going to study opposing NFL wide receivers when Julio Jones comes to town? And then you move on further than past that. Is a guy that stands at 6'2", 177 pounds. I mean, for comparison, I'm 6'1", 191 pounds at this moment. I mean, I don't know how this guy's skinny, man. I don't know how he's even able to play it this way. He needs to put on a good 10 pounds, 15 pounds in order to really compete at the NFL level. I'm not saying I can compete at the NFL level, but in order to really be able to go up against these tall, physical wide receivers and to be some sort of force in the run game, because Julio Jones is going to absolutely block this guy off of the freaking field. Off of the field. Odell Beckham is going to block this guy off the field. I mean, he's a weightless as a leaf. I mean, he has no weight to him. His legs look like twigs. His upper body actually has some strength to him, so his legs just look absolutely awful. So you're talking about a guy that doesn't have good size. His speed, it's okay. I think he ran a 4.49. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, for a corner, I guess it's a little above average, not great. I don't think it's worth the risk here. There's a lot of risk here. Didn't start much. When he played, I didn't think he popped that much anyway. Has issues, doesn't have good size. It's a C pick for me, and I really don't like this pick. So far, you've had a hit in DeForest Buckner, a hit with Will Redmond, and then I think Joshua Garnett will start, but you could have done better there, and you definitely could have done better on Rashard Robinson, because I don't think this guy's going to be on your football team. I give Rashard Robinson a C- actually, because the more I think about it, man, I'm not sure he's going to be on the roster in a couple years. Do not like the Rashard Robinson pick. You move on to the 5th round, where they had a lot of picks. 5th round and 6th round, they had a lot of picks. We start with the 5th round pick, first 5th round pick, Ronald Blair out of Appalachian State, a guy that I believe had the opportunity to go to Georgia, but ended up going to Appalachian State. And in this FCS conference, actually has some nice production to him. A guy, though, that I question his fit on the 49er defense. He's standing at 6'2", 284 pounds, and he carries a lot of his weight in his midsection area. Doesn't have great strength as well, so he's gonna have to put on some weight. But he had some nice production at Appalachian State. And I think there could be something to work with here, but I question the fit. I thought he would be more of a 4-3 base end, and now he's a 3-4, probably defensive end. I'm not sure how that's gonna work out though, but I give it a B. I'm intrigued. All right, next we move on to John Theus. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Offensive tackle out of Georgia, 145th pick overall. A guy that's very long. I looked at Jason Spriggs earlier this week when I was doing the Green Bay Packers draft recap, and he compares to him in terms of height, 6'6". Weight is pretty similar. Jason Spriggs was sitting at about 315. This guy's sitting at about 305. But unlike Jason Spriggs, just isn't as athletic. Although he's not that bad either, John Theus. I mean, he has some athleticism to him, but mainly the problem with him is being powerful in the run game. You weren't able to see any of that at Georgia. And against premier talent like a Myles Garrett for Texas A&M, he really had his struggles. He's a guy that's only going to give you so much. I question whether or not he's ever going to be able to be a starter at the next level. But considering the fact that this is the 5th round, and I think he'll definitely be in the NFL. I don't think there's a guy that's going to phase that. I think he'll be a backup lineman, and when he starts, he'll do fine for you, but will never be a quality star. And if he's starting for you, you're saying, well, we may need a better starter than this. So considering that, I give it a B+, because I think there's some potential to be had here. And I think the ceiling is low, but I think the floor is pretty high. So in the 5th round, this is a nice value to get. Next, we move on to the last 5th round pick, offensive tackle Fahn Cooper out of Ole Miss. Laramie Tunsil was on the left side, and Fahn Cooper was on the right side, and then also was on the left side when Laramie Tunsil had his issues, his injuries, and all of that nonsense that Laramie Tunsil had. Now, Fahn Cooper, unlike John Theus, is actually a force in the run game, and that's where he's going to make his mark. And similar to Josh Garnett in that aspect. So if, I'm not even sure Fahn Cooper is ever going to start, but if he does start and Joshua Garnett starts, you're going to start to see the 49ers getting back to that power run. We're going to run you down, and Chip Kelly likes to run the football. I mean, don't be shocked at this, and people want to believe that Chip Kelly's some sort of aerial attack, blah, blah, blah. No, they ran the football when Chip Kelly was there. They ran it. Maybe not in the power aspect that some people are expecting, but no, they ran the football there, and Chip Kelly wants to do that, and this is another run guy that can do that. I question, though, whether or not he's a tackle. Again, he played right tackle for Ole Miss, and he could be a right tackle on the next level, but I want to see how he do at guard. So I'm wanting to see if they probably move him to guard, because I think that may be a better fit for Fahn Cooper. Only 6'4". I mean, that's not small, but he's 6'4", 303 pounds, so we'd have to put on some weight. But I think if you could, you could have a really good guard here. So I want to see where that goes. But again, I give it a B+. Next, we move on to the 6th round. And this is actually my favorite pick. And I'm giving an A+ for this pick. And that is quarterback Jeff Driskel out of Louisiana Tech, formerly of the University of Florida. And man, I think this guy's going to start for the San Francisco 49ers probably by the end of the year. And I think he's going to play well. When you look at what Chip Kelly does and what he wants to do, and you look at Jeff Driskel's skill set, has nice size. This guy's 6'4", 234 pounds, so he has nice height, and he has some muscle on him. Okay, good. Runs a 4.56 40. Okay, that's really good, because Marcus Mariota, who Chip Kelly loves to, wish he could have, ran a 4.52 or 4.54. So just a hair slower than Marcus Mariota in terms of long speed, which isn't, a great indicator of game speed, I understand, but it's a pretty good measuring stick to me. So he compares in that aspect. And like Marcus Mariota, he's 6'4". They're both 6'4". So you talk about that. He has some struggles at Florida. Only looked to be a game manager. Went to Louisiana Tech. Had 28 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. So you see an ability there to be able to hold on to the ball. Has a nice arm. Struggles a little bit with the deep ball. Like a Marcus Mariota. Chip Kelly may have found a cheap little Marcus Mariota here. I'm not saying Jeff Driskel is going to be a Marcus Mariota. But I'm saying a poor man's Marcus Mariota, I think he can be. And I think when we go to training camp, and I think when we go to the NFL season and Blaine Gabbert has his issues and Colin Kaepernick has his issues, I think Chip Kelly may turn to Jeff Driskel and say, hey, kid, come play. And Jeff Driskel might do something for this team. I really think the 49ers have found something here, Jeff Driskel. This is one of the quarterbacks I have faith in. I don't have faith in Cody Cuss, so I'll tell you right now, Jeff Driskel in this offense, though. That's the important thing. If he was going to a pro-style offense, the New England Patriots or the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he'd phase out. You never see him again. But in this offense, if Chip Kelly can last more than 1 year, 2 years, what have you, I think you can see Jeff Driskel ending up starting for this 49er team and doing a good job and really giving defensive team headaches. You've heard it here, and I give an A+ because you potentially found a starting quarterback this late in the 2016 NFL Draft. Oh, I love it. All right, next we move on to the next 6th round pick. We have running back Kelvin Taylor out of Florida, another Florida guy, and I like it, but I don't love it because I think he compares a lot to Carlos Hyde. I'm not sure what he's giving you that Carlos Hyde doesn't, except Kelvin Taylor does have more lateral agility. And that was something that DeMarco Murray struggled with in this Eagles offense when Chip Kelly was with the Eagles. He had struggles with the lateral quickness. And Kelvin Taylor, a guy that only ran a 4.6 40, I think he's faster than that. And in terms of making guys miss side-to-side speed, I think he has it. And I think this is a guy that you're going to be able to see have some success in this Chip Kelly offense for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think there's a lot of value that they found here, and I give it a B+. A good pick late in the draft. And continue with the good picks. I think they really killed it in day 3, and we move on to the 6th round pick. And they take another 6th round pick, I should say. They take wide receiver Aaron Burbridge out of Michigan State, a guy that produced and caught a lot of deep balls from Connor Cook in 2015 collegiate season. This guy knows how to get up and grab the football. He does it so well. He did it so well in Michigan State. The 49ers could not really... I'm not going to say they could use this because Torrey Smith pretty much has a similar skill set to this guy, to be honest, now that I think about it. But they could use as many wide receivers as they could get. So if you have two Torrey Smiths out there, that's not a big problem to have. They just need wide receivers. And wide receiver, I'm shocked it took this long to be addressed, and that hurt their overall grade to me. But they finally take one here. My biggest problem with Aaron Burbridge, even though this guy had 20 reps at the bench press, which is very impressive, he was a top performer at the combine in that aspect, a strong wide receiver here. He's not that physical. In the run game, run blocking, I see that, but in terms of going up and grabbing the football, I wish he'd be a little more physical in grabbing that and just bringing it down and making and imposing his will on cornerbacks. So hopefully Chip Kelly can teach that toughness into him. And if they do, I think the 49ers have found yet another late wide receiver that's going to stick onto their team. And I give it an A-. And we finish with their 7th round pick, Prince Charles Iworah. I think I pronounced that correctly, out of Western Kentucky. And this is what you're supposed to do in the 7th round. A cornerback that runs a 4.3 240, had a 38 vertical jump, had nice measurables beyond that. This is who you're taking. And this is what you do in the 7th round. You take guys with pure speed that can play special teams. And if you can teach them the game, and hopefully he can learn it, he can be a force for you in terms of being on the football field and maybe actually playing cornerback. I love this pick. I mean, again, this is just a 7th round. You just got to take guys with this kind of athletic potential. They take one. I love it. I give it an A. So we have a hit and miss draft by the San Francisco 49ers. We have hits like DeForest Buckner, Will Redmond, and I think a lot of hits on day 3. Jeff Driskel, Aaron Burbridge, and Prince Charles Iworah. But then we have some big misses to me at Joshua Garnett, Rashard Robinson. Because my scale is weighted. This is a weighted GPA scale that I give. Right, I've concocted this. I'll talk about this every time. I've concocted a GPA calculator. Boom, it spit it out. This is what it gave me. So because the bad grade in 1st round, the Joshua Garnett hurt, and the 4th round hurt, the 49ers only get a B, a 3.09, actually no, 3.12 GPA out of 4. but I think it may actually prove to be better than that. This actually is probably going to see... You're probably going to see here the flaws of my system, actually. I think this may be the one team that breaks my system. But in terms of this grade, I don't think accurately shows what the 49ers have done here. Because I think they found a good amount of hits here. And overall, we're going to look back. There's going to be some busts. There will certainly be some busts. But I think we're definitely going to look back and say the 49ers did a good job here. So even though this GPA... this 3.12 GPA should translate to a B, I am personally going to give the 49ers a B+, because I think they deserve that plus, because I think this is a plus draft, a B+ draft in terms of finding guys that can definitely hit on the football field, and it could save the 49ers from being a 2-14, 3-13, 4-12 NFL team that so many people are expecting. Until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out. Peace.